What if your greatest threat is not the one who hates you, but the one who smiles beside you? We have been taught to fear enemies and to be wary of falling from outside. But Machiavelli knew better. The real danger comes from those who pretend to be allies. A colleague who praises your work but sows doubt the moment you leave the room. A friend who celebrates your success until it starts to overshadow their own. Machiavelli wrote that the one who makes another strong destroys themselves, not out of malice, but out of realism. Loyalty in the real world is a mask, a performance, a tool, until it becomes something else. Today, we delve into the ruthless genius of Machiavelli and uncover how to identify, disarm, and subdue false friends and colleagues who can ruin you if you remain naive. This is not a guide for the faint-hearted. It is for those who are ready to survive and rule. Welcome to the tactics of Machiavelli. We all want to believe in loyalty, that people will stand by us because of shared experiences, personal connections, or moral principles. But Machiavelli did not believe in this. In The Prince, he stated plainly that people are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, and dishonest. They avoid danger and are greedy for gain. For Machiavelli, loyalty was not a virtue. It was a convenience that could easily be discarded when it ceased to serve personal interests. He believed that most people support power not because they believe in you, but because they gain something from you. And when that gain disappears, so does their loyalty. As a historical example, let us talk about one of Machiavelli's favorite characters, Cesare Borgia. At the height of his power, Borgia was surrounded by so-called allies, nobles, generals, and clergy. But Machiavelli noted that Borgia never truly trusted them. He used them strategically, granting them power when it was beneficial and eliminating them when they became a threat. One such person was Romero d'Argo, a ruthless commander whom Borgia appointed to pacify the Romagna region. When the job was done and public hatred for Romero grew, Borgia ordered his execution. His head was displayed publicly in the town square. Machiavelli admired this, not for the cruelty, but for the clarity. Borgia understood that loyalty is temporary, power is permanent, and a wise ruler must rely on what they control over the hatred of others, a modern reflection of the corporate ladder. Let us transport ourselves to today. Think about your office and your career. How many people congratulated you on your promotion, but secretly felt threatened by it? How many colleagues offer help only when it costs them nothing? In a highly competitive environment, loyalty often lasts only as long as the ladder is beneath them. Once you cease to be a stepping stone upward, you become a threat, or worse yet, an obstacle. That is why Machiavelli's strategy requires us to stop expecting loyalty and start measuring our own interests. Do not ask who loves me or who needs me, and what is more important, who will benefit if I fall. The psychological aspect, cognitive dissonance, is where it gets deeper. People can betray you, sincerely believing in their loyalty. How is this possible? When self-interest conflicts with attachment, the mind rationalizes reality, saying, "I did not betray her, I simply did what I had to do. He left me no choice. I had to protect myself." This is the justification of a false friend, which you will only hear after the knife is in your back. An important conclusion is that loyalty must be earned over and over again. So what should you do? Stop assuming that devotion is eternal. Watch for changes in interests of power and status. If someone's incentives change, their loyalty will soon change as well. Reward reliability, not attachment. Those who are always there, who deliver results and take the hits for you, are valuable, but always check. As Machiavelli reminds us, a promise made in the past was a necessity, and its violation is a necessity of the present. There is an old saying, better the devil you know than the devil you do not know. But Machiavelli would clarify, a better enemy is the one you can see than a friend who hides a knife. Because enemies are obvious. They challenge you openly. You prepare, defend, and counterattack. But false friends shake your hand with one hand and stab you with the other. Machiavelli, as a realist, warned rulers that open hostility is not as frightening as false loyalty. A lion cannot protect itself from traps. A fox cannot protect itself from wolves. So one must be a fox to recognize traps. The prince, false friends, or traps infiltrate your trust. They study your weaknesses, your ambitions, and gain access to your plans. And when the time comes, they betray you in a way that you are not prepared to endure because you did not expect it. A historical example is Julius Caesar and Brutus. One of the most famous betrayals in history was also one of the most personal. Julius Caesar did not die in battle. He did not fall at the hands of foreign invaders. He was struck down by his own Senate, led by Brutus, whom he trusted like a son. And you, Brutus, even you, Brutus. This was not a cry anymore. It was the cry of psychological shock at the moment when Caesar realized that the mask of friendship was a lie. Brutus pretended to be an ally to stay close. He smiled in Caesar's shadow, and when power shifted, he joined the conspiracy. This is the danger of false friends. They use your trust as a weapon, an office equivalent of hidden sabotage. In modern offices, this betrayal does not come with daggers, but with whispers. Your friend passes your ideas to others. They tell the boss that you are struggling to sow doubt. They support you when you are on the rise, but quietly disappear when you have problems. These are the modern Brutus figures. They do not wear togas. They wear suits, smile, and say, "Let me know if I can help," while strategically reacting to how to deal with you. Do not succumb to emotion. Analyze the situation. Machiavelli would never act by relying so much on feelings, devoid of facts and patterns. Pay attention to the discrepancies between what they say and what they do. Test their loyalty in small ways. Provide them with controlled information and watch for leaks. Ask for support when there is no reward for it. Observe their reactions, maintain flexibility, and never allow one person to become the sole guardian of your reputation, strategy, or success. Remember, an open enemy wounds the body, while a false friend wounds the soul. And Machiavelli knew that one wound can be bandaged, while another can destroy your reign. Before betrayal occurs, the signs are already evident, but most people ignore them. Why? They want to believe in an illusion. They confuse charm with character, attention with alliance. Machiavelli did not make such a mistake. He understood. Every false friend reveals themselves if you are observant enough. Let us explore how to recognize these imposters before they strike. The first sign is excessive flattery. Beware of colleagues who praise all your actions, especially in public. People are so simple, prone to yielding to immediate needs, that a deceiver will never be without victims. Prince Machiavelli knew that people who constantly flatter usually hide something. Their goal is not to uplift you, but to weaken your defenses. In modern work conditions, it looks like this. No one could handle this better than you. You are the smartest here. We are lucky to have you with us. If this seems too sweet to be sincere, it probably is. The second sign is unclear support and quiet absence. A false friend is present at the celebration, but absent in a crisis. They appear when you win, but disappear when you are attacked or face difficulties. Ask yourself who stands up for you when you are criticized, and who vanishes when you need support. Machiavelli does not confuse presence with partnership. They observe those who support you only when it is easy. The third sign is passive sabotage. A duplicitous colleague rarely attacks directly. They act through plausible deniability, the art of betrayal, without leaving fingerprints. Examples include, "I think she is wonderful, but some say she is not ready for this role. He is truly talented, but lately he has been under a lot of stress." This is how they instill doubt while pretending to protect you. Machiavelli would notice this immediately. These are people who wish to undermine your position while maintaining the appearance of loyalty. The fourth sign is a change in energy. When you achieve success, observe how they react to your good news. Do they genuinely rejoice or smile with reluctance? Do they share your excitement or quickly switch the topic? Do they celebrate your successes or find subtle ways to overshadow you? Jealousy is a sign of betrayal, and a true Machiavelli knows that having enemies among friends is more dangerous than having friends among enemies. The method of Machiavelli: psychological triggers for recognizing a hidden enemy. Observe how they behave when you are no longer needed. Watch their actions when you gain influence, attention, or advantage. False friends begin to feel tense when you stop needing them. Their behavior under pressure reveals their true nature. The masks come off, exposing their real faces, applicable in the real world, a trap for the middle manager, corporate intrigues. Middle managers often play both sides. They praise you in front of leadership while sowing doubt among colleagues. Their goal is not to fire you, but to neutralize you, as they fear you may surpass them in the career ladder. Therefore, they act from the shadows, using words as weapons. Machiavelli would never confront them in open opposition. He would observe, take note of what is happening, and prepare his response long before they realize they have been exposed. The lesson: the first way to assess a manager is to look at the environment in which they operate. The principle applies to your life as well. Your strength is tied to the quality and loyalty of those around you. By identifying potential traitors in your circle, you do not necessarily have to engage in open conflict with them. Machiavelli rarely recommended open confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Instead, he taught rulers to use strategic distancing to control through detachment. The prince must be wise enough to benefit from the untrustworthy. In other words, you should not completely exclude them. Just keep them at a sufficient distance to observe, but not allow them to cause harm. This is where the hidden power lies. When you distance yourself from those who thrive on access to you, they become unstable. Deceitful friends rely on proximity to gather information, remain significant, or manipulate. By reducing access, you force them into uncertainty, limit their influence, and regain control over your image and plans. Distance becomes both armor and leverage. For example, Louis XI, King of France, was admired by Machiavelli precisely for this tactic. Louis surrounded himself with ambitious nobles but never allowed any of them to become too close. He distributed power, had informants in every camp, and moved pieces on the chessboard of power. As a result, no ally became powerful enough to threaten him effectively. Distance was not coldness, but strategic survival. In the modern business world, this manifests through control of information and emotional boundaries. Suppose you suspect a colleague is undermining you. Accusing them will create noise, conflict, and portray you as insecure. Instead, stop sharing confidential information. They cannot use what they do not know. Redirect conversations, remain polite but vague, exclude their exceptional decisions. They lose influence without even realizing it, until it is too late. You do not sever ties with them. You quietly disconnect them from yourself. The game of power never grants full access. Machiavelli would say that no one, not even your closest friend, should have complete access to your thoughts, intentions, or plans. He understood a simple truth. The more people know about you, the easier it is to manipulate you. Therefore, distance is not only a means of protection against threats, but also a way to maintain secrecy, leverage, and control. In conclusion, strategic distancing allows you to observe without getting involved, to maintain respect while eliminating risks, and to keep power where it belongs, with you. In the world of political games, according to Machiavelli, friendship can be fickle, but dominance must remain constant. Machiavelli did not believe in waiting for a stab in the back. He believed in striking first, not out of fear, but out of calculated necessity. All actions should be decisive and swift to minimize consequences. The Prince. This is not about place, but about addressing threats before they escalate into something greater. An exposed false friend poses not only a personal danger, they can poison your reputation, steal your opportunities, and alter perceptions of you among others before you have a chance to respond. So what does it mean to strike first, according to Machiavelli? Simply put, preventive measures are power. As soon as you notice signs of deceit, act quickly, quietly, and accurately. This may mean cutting off access to important information, excluding them from strategic meetings, replacing them in joint projects, or reassessing your public relations with them. If the situation escalates, expose them indirectly, leaking subtle truths that reveal their double game. Without appearing petty, the goal is not destruction, but containment and dominance. Machiavelli's lesson from Cesare Borgia is relevant once again. Let us return to Cesare Borgia, the master of preventive strategy. When he conquered Romagna, he appointed commanders to ensure the region's safety. But as soon as their usefulness diminished, and he suspected their growing ambitions, he eliminated them. Before they could turn against him, his most famous move was the elimination of Ramiro de Orco, a brutal enforcer. Why? Because Machiavelli noted that the violence used to gain power must be accompanied by violence to secure it. Cesare understood that hesitation gives enemies time to organize. Speed destroys their inertia. Imagine discovering that your ally at work is leaking your plans. They have not sabotaged you openly, but the signs are obvious. The Machiavellian move does not involve confrontation. Instead, you change your strategy without warning, supplying them with outdated or false information and observing what leaks, quietly building alliances with more influential players. By the time they realize they are isolated, it will be too late. You have outmaneuvered them. You are already 3 steps ahead. The psychological aspect. Foreknowledge eliminates threats. Most people wait for irrefutable evidence before taking action. But Machiavelli warns us. A wise person does immediately what a fool does in the end. False friends test your boundaries. If you allow small betrayals to go unpunished, they grow into something larger. A preventive move is not impulsive. It is planned. You do not react emotionally. You respond tactically and precisely. Wait until you are betrayed to protect yourself, and then it will be too late. Act in advance. Act wisely, and do it in a way that preserves your reputation while undermining theirs. In Machiavelli's world, it is not about looking good, but about remaining influential. If you want to survive in the face of betrayal, you must stop building alliances based on emotions. Machiavelli did not believe in sentimental loyalty, and neither should you prioritize comfort over power and stability. He expressed himself very clearly. A ruler should have no other goal or thought than war, its institutions and discipline. Substitute the management of power for war, and the lesson becomes obvious. Your connections should be strategic, not emotional. Rethink the concept of loyalty. Utility is more important than attachment. In Machiavelli's understanding, loyalty is not love, but mutual interest. Those you trust the most should benefit from your success. Rely on your influences and have something to lose if betrayed. If they are emotionally loyal but risk nothing while causing you harm, they are a burden. If they are cold but deeply invested in your success, they are an asset. Machiavelli redefines friendship as an alliance for a purpose. Weigh a useful ally against an emotional anchor. Ask yourself about each close person. Do they provide me with leverage, access to authority, skills, or intelligence? Are they committed to the outcome rather than just emotional approval? If the answer is no, you are keeping an emotional anchor on your ship, and when the waves rise, it will drag you down. A historical example is Cardinal Richelieu, infamously known as the power behind the French throne. He created a court of advisors, informants, and envoys based not on friendship, but on functionality. Each had a clear role. Each alliance was transactional. If someone did not serve the state or threatened its power, they were replaced without ceremony. Cold? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. This is how I maintained power behind the scenes for over 2 decades among vipers. Transition this to business and strategic partnerships. In business, it means choosing co-founders who complement your skill set rather than just those you like. Choose mentors who enhance your reputation. Hire not for cultural fit, but for calculated contribution. Machiavelli would never hire a friend unless they brought value to the battlefield. Emotional control is key, let's be honest. This does not mean becoming heartless. This means strategically choosing where your heart resides. Have true friends outside your sphere of influence. But within the arena, choose those whose interests align with yours, whose survival depends on your rise. This way, you will create a circle that protects you rather than disappoints you. Machiavelli does not ask if I am liked by them. He asks if we need each other for something important. Attachment fades, influence remains. In Machiavelli's world, power does not stem solely from strength. It comes from secrecy. He understood that whoever controls the flow of information controls perception, behavior, and outcomes. It is not necessary for a ruler to possess all good qualities, but it is crucial that he appears to have them. The prince. The translation. People do not need to know the truth. They only need to see what benefits you. The veil of secrecy, a false friend, or a duplicitous colleague, is powerless without access to vital information. They need your plans, weaknesses, inner dilemmas, hopes, and fears. Without this information, they cannot predict your next move, undermine your decisions, or use your doubts against you. That is why Machiavellians never fully disclose their intentions. They speak half-truths, display calculated emotions, and guard their strategic opacity like a crown. A historical example: Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon, perhaps one of the greatest military minds in history, was also a master of disinformation. In major battles, he often spread false strategies to manipulate enemy preparations. One well-known example is before the Battle of Austerlitz. Napoleon feigned weakness to lure the enemy into a trap, leading to a decisive victory, not through brute force, but through intellectual deception. This is pure Machiavelli. Practical application: strategic disinformation. In your life, this means not sharing your dreams with colleagues. They may not root for them. Do not explain every step you take. People can only block those plans they understand. Use selective disclosure. Give different people different pieces of the puzzle. This way, no one but you will have the complete picture. You become unpredictable, and in the game of power, Unpredictability is key. It is the sword and the shield. A psychological maneuver, silence as control. Here is a Machiavellian step that almost no one uses. When others expect a response, remain silent. When they ask for details, provide only direction. When they seek clarity, provoke curiosity. People do not like uncertainty. And in their discomfort, they reveal much more than they should. Machiavelli constantly utilized this dynamic. A ruler who speaks too much provokes rebellion. A leader who reveals too little incites fear and fascination. Keep your strategy like a king guards his throne. Speak less, reveal less, and observe everything. After all, power is not always seized. Sometimes it is lost. Betrayal is painful, but for a Machiavellian, it is not the end, but an opportunity. As soon as someone reveals their true face, you no longer need to guess. Now you have the situation under control. Machiavelli did not waste time lamenting broken trust. He focused on how to turn pain into strength. A wise person should always follow the paths of great individuals and emulate those who have reached the top. A prince and great people do not fall under the weight of betrayal. They extract benefits from it. The first step is controlling the narrative. When someone betrays you, do not simply react. Act strategically. Stay calm, say less, and then quietly reframe the story. Your goal is not to prove your point, but to present the betrayal in a way that strengthens your power. Let's say a colleague has betrayed you and claimed your work as their own. Do not react emotionally. Instead, document everything. Gradually reveal the facts to the right people. Let them discover the truth themselves and change their perception of the situation. You remain composed, while they appear exposed. And you emerge from the situation calculated, not chaotic. A historical example is Steve Jobs. In 1985, he was betrayed by his own board and was ousted from the company he founded, Apple. Many would have given up, but Jobs took a different approach. He created the company Next, built Pixar, and when Apple began to falter, he was brought back. But he did not return as an employee. He returned as a savior. Jobs turned betrayal into leverage for his successes elsewhere and made Apple come to him again. This is not revenge. It is strategic superiority. The second step is to extract information. When betrayal occurs, emotions run high, and people say too much. This is your chance to uncover motives, alliances, and weak points in their network. Think like a strategist. Who benefited from this betrayal? Who rose when you fell? These questions turn betrayal into a map, showing who is loyal and who is pretending. The third step is to punish selectively. Machiavelli did not advocate for forgiveness, but he also did not recommend blind punishment. If you strike, do so immediately. If you show kindness, do it gradually. Punish with purpose. Make examples of the guilty to warn others. Sever ties not in anger, but in front of others, to show what betrayal leads to. But never overdo it. Emotional outbursts give your enemies arguments. Strategic revenge makes everyone think twice before crossing you. Remember, betrayal is not just an attack. It is a mirror. It reveals who is real, shows where you were weak, and hands you a weapon if you know how to use it. Machiavelli does not fear betrayal. He turns it into leverage. You have seen the signs, studied the tactics, and now know that not everyone around you is trustworthy. The eternal warning of Machiavelli echoes in every betrayal, in every false smile, in every friendly hand that slowly tightens around your throat. A promise made in the past was a necessity. A word broken in the present is also a necessity. Prince. What does this mean in today's world? It means that people will support you as long as it benefits them. They will applaud your success until it overshadows their own achievements. They will swear loyalty until their ambition tells them otherwise. If you are not prepared, it will catch you off guard. But if you have been observing closely and have understood the lesson, you now possess what most will never have: clarity. Clarity to trust only what is proven, not what is promised. To measure loyalty by incentives, not by words. To remain calm in the face of betrayal and turn it to your advantage. To build alliances based on utility, not emotions. And above all, to never reveal all your cards. The great gift of Machiavelli was not cruelty, but the understanding that survival and dominance require one thing: insight. Not everyone deserves access. Not every friend is genuine. Not every betrayal is a defeat. In the end, those who remain are not the most beloved, but the most prepared. Outlast the pretenders, rule in silence, strike with precision. If this video has changed your perceptions and those of the people around you, if it has made you think like a strategist rather than a sentimentalist, then it is time to take the next step. Consider what bold ideas you will start to implement today. This could be severing unnecessary ties, protecting your plans, or recreating your environment. Let us build a community of strategic thinkers, not victims. And remember, in a world full of masks, Machiavelli does not trust faces. He watches the hands and controls the game.